So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the last Mindfulness at Lunch session that I'm going to be conducting in 2021. It has been quite a year, and I think we've been conducting these sessions now for over 2 months, and I hope it has been of help to you. Well, for this session, I'm going to focus a little talk first on fear. Now, generally, all animals live in fear, and we are part of the animal kingdom. And fear helps us to survive. Every animal in the wild always lives in a little bit of fear. And whenever they hear a sound that they're not familiar with, or something that may be a sound of another creature approaching, could potentially be a predator, you can see that they are alert. Or even a bird that may be perched on the ledge, and if they see a human coming close by, their fear of the human is going to result in them flying away. So there is always a healthy dose of fear that arises in us from time to time. And another example I'll give you as human, when does this fear arises and how does it help us? For example, when you're crossing the road. Notice how your heart beats a bit faster, especially when it is a crossing that gives you only a certain number of seconds to reach the other side, or there may be cars moving and you have to get to the other side of the road safely. Next time, just notice if their heartbeat goes up a little bit and also a bit of tension in the chest area, and especially your muscles that helps you to move your body across the road. So feeling a bit of fear from time to time is part and parcel of living, as it helps us to be safe. If you've ever come across someone that may have shouted at you or may have been harsh towards you, notice the next time you see this person again, chances are the little bit of fear arises. Your heart beats a bit faster. Your breathing may also be increasing in its rate. And this is very normal because what the mind does, it reminds you that, hey, this person has scolded you before. So be careful, keep your distance, or don't say so much. So this happens a lot on the workplace, especially when we know that we could be asked many questions by our boss, or our boss may actually tell us off, or whatever that may be. So everybody is more wary of the bosses. I'm sure my staff are more wary of me because if I find that there is something not quite right, I will be asking them some questions. And if they made a mistake that it's not really something that they should have made, then I may actually be a bit stern with them. So it is normal to have a bit of cautiousness or a certain amount of fear towards a boss or someone of authority. But it becomes unhealthy when we start to fear the sense of fear. And that could end up paralyzing us. So you may have heard of what we call the fight-flight response. When the fear paralyzes us, it's a freeze response, and we become dysfunctional. So when our level of fear is not healthy, that causes us to feel an anxiety that causes us to tense up, and that is not helpful. And sometimes this is not anything to do with the person or the situation, but just sensing this fear arising increases the level of fear. So in mindfulness-based cognitive therapy course, and also in the Mindfulness Foundation course, we talk about befriending fear, because in befriending fear, it's about recognizing the benefits of fear. Imagine you don't even have any fears. That could result in you living more dangerously, putting your life at risk at times unnecessarily. It's like people who climb a mountain without even a rope. That is like, wow, really living without fear, right? They become so bold, but it also means that they're putting their life at risk at a higher degree than most people would. So fear serves a purpose. But when the fear becomes layered with fear, then that's when it could paralyze us. So in this practice, I'm going to share with you as to how to bring that level of fear down. So whenever we notice our heart racing, tightening of our muscles here, and even our shoulders or our gut feels so uncomfortable, like as though we need to go to the toilet. It's like called butterflies in the stomach. So either you sense into your hand and just close your fist and breathe. So when you breathe, you open and close your hand, syncing with the movement in your hand. So when you breathe in, you may be closing it. When you breathe out, you may be opening. So because the breathing may be quite rapid and uncomfortable, you may not want to focus on the breathing. So you focus on the movement of your hand. And the hand closing and opening mirrors the breathing cycle. So another method is bring the hands together, and as you breathe, move your hands and sense into the movement of your hands. So now I'd like to invite you to do it. You can choose either mode of moving your hands towards and away from each other as you breathe, and focus on that movement that syncs with your breathing, or using the hand opening and closing gesture. So whichever works for you. So close your eyes, and now let's do the practice. You will notice that as your breathing becomes smoother and also more subtle and calm, the movement of your hands change accordingly. Breathing becomes really soft and subtle. And just place your hands on your lap and just focus on this beautiful breath that keeps us alive. Enjoying this moment of peace. Okay, your mind wanders off. As soon as you notice the mind has wandered off, it comes right back to the breath. So there's no struggling. There's no tension when focusing on the breath. or training this mind to be more present by anchoring on the breath or the hand as what you did earlier on. You find your mind is very busy, and use your hands to move again in accordance to your breathing. And focus on the movement of your hands. And then you can let go your hands. Once the mind is settled, calms, and is happy to just hang out with the breath. Notice how peaceful it is when the mind is thinking less. Or, better still, no thoughts for a period of time. Resting the mind, strengthening the mind. So let's just sit with this breath for another 2 minutes. Just enjoying the softness of this moment. Just focusing on 3 more out breaths. Slowly opening your eyes. Hey, how do you feel now? So this practice can also be applied when you're feeling upset or irritated. Because by being able to pause and just focusing on your hand, doing the breathing or syncing with your breathing, helps your mind to let go of all the judgments that are usually arising during our unhappy moments. When our mind stops judging, then the emotion is actually dissolved or reduced, loses its intensity. And this is what helps us to come back into a calmer state. A mind that is calm is in better control. A mind that is just full of judgments and adding to the stories that is going on just causes us to be frazzled, sometimes panic, or just being irrational, emotional. So doing this practice helps you to regain control of yourself, so you don't fly off the handle. So I hope this is helpful, and use it anytime. Just use your hand to open and close and sense into the hand moving as it's syncing with your breathing, so that it also helps you to be aware of how rapid your breathing is, because the breathing rapidness usually correlates with your heart beating faster as well. Or using this movement. You can just do it under the desk. Nobody can see you, especially when you're attending a virtual call or having a virtual discussion. So I hope this is helpful, and I wish all of you well and have a great week ahead.